Good afternoon. My name is Marlon Williams.
And where are you from?
I'm from Christchurch, New Zealand.
When did you start making music?
I started singing when I was very young. I started writing when I was about 13, and I started touring when I was about 17.
Who did you listen to growing up?
The Beatles. And what else? The Beatles and Elvis and terrible boy bands. Mainly.
What was your first break?
My first break, winning my elementary school talent quest, playing a Tiskita Tasket on the trumpet.
And how?
No, wait, I lost.
Oh.
I don't know. That wasn't my first break, but it was my first broken heart.
How did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Lack of options.
Mm.
I don't know. It always was my trump card in every sort of situation. It sort of cheated me through school. So I don't know, and it still seems to be doing that. So, yeah.
Tell me about your first band, the Unfaithful Ways, and then your work with Delaney Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see it all evolving towards your solo work and where you are now?
Well, there's the Unfaithful Ways was I was listening to a lot of Graham Parsons and a lot of the Jayhawks and things like that. So it's very much a pretty straight-ish country rock band, you know. We're all young and listening to country music, and that's what came out. And then I met Delaney, and and he brought this whole just a whole appreciation for the craft of songwriting and a much spookier and more interesting element to the sound and the presentation of things. And so now what I'm doing feels well informed by that, but I don't know, I guess I'm still finding my own path.
Do you think listening to country music in New Zealand is different than listening to country music in the United States?
Yeah, I don't know, there's a similar sort of instant allergic reaction to it, you know, from anyone who's not a farmer over the age of 50. but there's there's its own. New Zealand has its own landscape, and country music is so informed by the landscape and by the land. So I think it's, my country music for me is, and in terms of a geographical thing, is different than it would be for an American.
Your debut LP came out earlier last year, and now you have a bunch of new material. Is there anything you can tell me about your next release?
It's the first album I've ever made where I wrote all the songs, and it's far more personal. I'm not hiding behind characters so much. I'm sort of imbuing more of my literal and personal self into it, and it's kind of sonically a little bit more explorative, and it feels a little bit more heavy, I guess. Which is, there's a lot of murder ballads on my last album, but it's a different kind of heavy.
What are some issues you look to address through your music?
Well, it's the personal psychology thing, emotional psychology. That's something that I'm only really now learning to properly express. And that sort of came about through life changes and just being hopefully becoming more emotionally mature. But yeah, I'm now starting to find it cathartic as a as a psychological sort of therapy, I guess. Yeah.
Who would you most like to collaborate with and why?
I've really wanted to collaborate with John Grant for a while. Who's just for a long time actually, from his old band the Czars, and now he's making these incredible art ballads that are he's in Iceland. He's using all these incredible electronic sounds, but the songwriting is so strong and bold, and his voice is so leading, and it's just I would love to sing a duet with him, I think.
What life events have impacted or inspired you and your music the most?
Well, we had an earthquake in Christchurch a few years ago that sort of shook up the whole music community. It was big enough that it impacted a lot of people's lives, and it was really a catalyst for as for better or for worse, natural disasters and disasters of every kind are usually, it was a catalyst for a lot of musicians to do something. So that was a big one. And then I guess just personal relationships with friends and and lovers. It's just it all sort of feeds into the pot.
What are your interests and passions outside of music?
I really love basketball. The NBA is really my safe place these days. It's where I turn to after every gig. Chess. I like playing chess a lot. I don't read so much as I used to. Sleeping. Chess, basketball, and sleeping are my big three at the moment, I think.
What are your favorite books, film, and music right now?
Books. I'm currently reading. Not long ago I read Bulgakov's Master and Margarita for the first time, and just it completely blew me away with how magic it was. So I'm reading The Heart of a Dog, which is another crazy Russian social commentary, and I'm enjoying that. But I'll usually read sci-fi. Movies. I haven't seen horror films. I love horror films. But I saw The Witch recently, which came out last year now. But I love horror films that don't really go anywhere, and that send you straight to Wikipedia afterwards, but desperately trying to find anything, even though it's completely made up. You're just looking for any sort of historical basis. That's when it's really got you. And music. I listen to a lot of early Lil Kim at the moment. Hadn't heard those first couple of Lil Kim albums, so I've been getting into those. They sort of psych me up when I'm feeling extremely tired. Yeah.
So what's next?
Finish this tour, go home. I haven't been home for nearly a year, so I'm going to go home to New Zealand and go swimming and play basketball and play chess, and then album comes out mid-February, and I'll be on the road until probably this time next year from then.
Excellent, thank you.
Awesome.